Hello everybody, this is Kirby over yonder, and one of the greatest themes throughout Adventure Time is the theme of empathy. Empathy, empathy, put yourself in the place of me. To have empathy for someone is to understand a person's feelings and their point of view. If you've ever heard the phrase, to walk in someone else's shoes, that's basically the idea. This shouldn't be confused with the idea of sympathy, which is feeling bad for someone. You can have sympathy without having empathy, and you can have empathy without having sympathy. In my opinion, having empathy for others is one of the most important things that we as people can do. Even for people that we dislike. Heck, especially people we dislike. And in my opinion, the Ice King's character arc and the way he interacts with other characters is a prime example of this. In the early seasons of Adventure Time, Finn and Jake simply view Ice King as an opponent, someone they need to stop. And in their defense, why shouldn't they? The dude captures princesses all the time. However, there are two episodes within the first two seasons that show off a different side to the Ice King's character. Those episodes being What Is Life and The Eyes. In What Is Life, Ice King accidentally helps give birth to Neptr, a robot created by Finn. Ice King uses this as an opportunity to finally have a son, someone to help him capture princesses. However, Neptr chooses to play pranks with Finn instead of capturing princesses with the Ice King. The episode ends with Ice King and Neptr watching the sunset in the Ice King's imagination. In The Eyes, the Ice King dresses up like a horse to spy on Finn and Jake due to being both lonely and depressed. These are two episodes that show off the Ice King's loneliness to us, the audience, but not to Finn and Jake. In What Is Life, everything we know about the Ice King's loneliness is shown to us when Finn is off-screen. And in The Eyes, the Ice King is directly telling Finn and Jake about his loneliness, however, they fall asleep while he is doing so. So even though we see a sad, lonely old man who just wants love in his life, Finn and Jake still see him as an evil villain or as an obstacle to get in their way. That is, until Season 3's Holly Jolly Secrets. In this episode, Finn and Jake find a collection of the Ice King's tapes and watch them to find out if there's anything evil on them. However, most of what they see is just weird Ice King shenanigans. That is until the final tape, where it's revealed to both Finn and Jake and us the audience the Ice King's true identity as Simon Petrikov. After seeing this, Finn and Jake decide to give the Ice King his tapes back, thus beginning Finn and Jake's developing empathy for the Ice King. As the series goes on, Finn and Jake act less hostile towards the Ice King as they see that he's not really that bad a guy. Heck, by Season 10, Finn sees the Ice King as more of a casual friend than an enemy. One of my favorite moments in the later seasons between Finn and Ice King is in the Season 8 episode, Don't Look. In this episode, Finn gets mysterious eyeballs that turns anyone he looks at into a physical representation of how he views that person. And when he looks at the Ice King, he turns him into Simon. When Jake asks Finn if that's how he really sees the Ice King, Finn says it's hard not to. Finn no longer views the Ice King as just a nuisance, but rather as a real person. One important thing to note, however, is that the Ice King doesn't just become a completely different character. Sure, he's stopped kidnapping princesses, however, he's still shown to be very rude and inconsiderate to people. But to deny all of the changes that the Ice King made as a character would be completely unfair, and I think Finn and Jake know this. However, Finn and Jake's relationship with the Ice King is nowhere near as complicated as Marceline's relationship with the Ice King. 1,000 years ago, right after the Mushroom War, Simon Petrikov was the only person Marceline had in her life. He basically acted as a father figure for Marceline. However, around this time, Simon was also battling with the transformations that were put upon him due to the crown, even sometimes putting Marceline in dangerous situations. This eventually got to the point where Simon had to leave Marceline for her own safety. They presumably never see each other again, that is until the episode I Remember You. Initially, Marceline is not happy to see the IK, as she basically sees him as a shell of his former self. And every time Marceline tries to have a genuine connection with the Ice King, he ends up ruining it. That is until one magical moment. A moment where it doesn't matter who Marceline is singing with. What matters is that Marceline does have someone to sing with, and that someone is the Ice King. From then on, the Ice King and Marceline's relationship started to slowly repair itself. Marceline now allows herself to actually hang out with the Ice King, and considers him a genuine friend. In the Season 8 episode Broke His Crown, Marceline even takes Princess Bubblegum to see the Ice King in a meeting your partner's parents sort of way. Marceline accepted the fact that Simon was gone and chose to appreciate the person he is now. It's not always an easy thing to do, but it shows that having just a little bit of empathy for another person goes a very long way. So what happens when you don't have empathy? Well, enter Betty. Now, I've already done an entire video about Betty, so if you want me to talk about her character arc in more detail, just watch that. But to put it simply, Betty and Marceline are basically two sides of the same coin. Both of them knew Simon Petrikov in the past and are frustrated by the way the crown changed him. The main difference, however, is that Marceline accepts the fact that Simon is gone and grows to appreciate the person he is now. Though in Betty's defense, it's not like she doesn't try to do this. In the Elements miniseries, Betty does try to connect with the person that Ice King is in the present. That is, until she's reminded of the person that Ice King used to be, and that Ice King isn't that person anymore. This basically causes Betty to attempt genocide in order to get Simon back. Even when Betty does eventually get her Simon back, she has to sacrifice herself in order to do so, ultimately defeating the point. Yes, it's hard when a loved one isn't acting like themselves, but instead of showing any actual empathy for the Ice King, Betty just gave up on him and put people in danger in order to get Simon back. It's important to show empathy for even people we dislike, because a person that we may view as an insensitive jerk may just be a lost soul looking for help, and there's no soul more lost than the Ice King's.